distractions. I'm very distracted because I found myself stuck at a hookah bar or like trying to get internet. And Nuggin was there. It was like my phone was dying. I just had to dip into the closest restaurant or something that I could find, and they had power, and now I'm smoking hookah. Okay, so that'll be a fun call. And as far as intentions, yeah, just always fun to check in with Marco, see the latest from Vitor, see what you guys are working on. I don't think I have any other strong intentions other than trying to get Mount Manu to give us an update on user feedback as well. I'll pass it to Lauren.
Yeah, my just to check in. I'm a little bit distracted because I'm just gonna try to make a tweet for Giveth, and so I'm like trying to think in Spanish because Mateo was like representing us in Spanish yesterday. Anyway, I'm just distracted by that, but it'll just take me a second, and then I'll be fully present, and I'll pass it to me.
Thanks. No distractions. Nothing to present. Maybe just get some consensus between design and development, and figure out what else that needs to be figured out. And I'll give it to Nuggin.
Yeah, no distractions either, and intentions. Well, just sync up and see what's going on. I had the intention to talk to Vito, but now we kind of sorted everything out through DMs, so that's there already. So I'll pass to Marco.
Thank you. My intention is to have Mitch demo the latest thing that we've done with the ABC. And just show you that, guys, get some early feedback. Basically, just validate what we discussed on our last call, and we just added those changes and prototyped that. So yeah, that's my intention. Distractions, none. I'm alone in this room. Kids are outside in school, so it's good. And yeah, pass it over to Ashley.
Aw, my intention is just to listen in and just be here, and it's a call that I've never joined before, so I just want to listen and see if there's a way I can get involved. I have a couple distractions. I'm visiting my family right now, but yeah, I'm mostly just listening, and I don't know who has already gone and who hasn't. So, maybe Optimus, have you gone?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Praise. Ashley, thank you for coming. This is super cool.
Yeah, my intentions is just see the last updates, and keep the loop here because I don't wanna miss out on the learning. So yeah, I just want to be here, and I'll pass it. Everyone go right. So
I think
Vitor's left. I think yeah. Can you guys hear me all?
Oh, Vitor.
Okay, let me try a second. Okay. So intentions are to give a little bit of update in the params of work and see about what are the next steps and check out how it's going about design and the other reports as well. And I'm a little bit hungry, so that's my distraction. But other than that, I'm good. And I think that's it, right? Everyone.
Wow, that was fast. Okay, well, then let's start with, I got back from Mount Manu. He said he didn't have any user testing this week and had no updates. So that's that agenda point. Let's go. Mitch, Mitch, you want to start with the demo that Marco did? I assume this is the same that we did on Sunday?
This is the same one we did on, we actually showed it on Sunday on the Hack Sesh, Marco.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. Yeah. I wasn't there on Sunday. Apologies. Well then, I guess you guys know everything.
I just mocked up, maybe to you, Marco, I just mocked up that original tutorial thing that we were trying to build on the ABC. So they just click through a couple screens and then it says, okay, do this part here and do this part there. So that's mocked up. I ended up just having to make it happen with buttons instead of being able to click it on the screen. Mm-hmm. So I can show that. That's something.
Yeah, sure. I didn't see that. Sorry. I mean, yeah.
And also maybe you could highlight the hover conflict that Pedro had.
I didn't see that comment yet.
He didn't make a comment, but during the hack sesh, he was saying that it's difficult. We can't do the hover over the surface area. We can't do any like pop up when someone moves the mouse over the graph, and so there was a suggestion of that little box that pops up that has the numbers for the buy and the sell, that it pop up when people scroll over the numbers or something along those lines.
I thought he was still going to check if it was possible, and I never heard back from him.
My understanding was that he was like, it's not possible with the library we're using, so we'd have to change libraries. I don't know, Vitor, if that makes sense to you. I'm kind of talking out of my ass of what I heard on Sunday. So
No, but that's the point. I think like you were taking the approach to do like what is possible with the library, like right now, to have like all the modules working, and then like we'll add a few other features. So I think that was his point, like maybe prioritizing like having it working, and then adding these extra features. But like, because if we have to change library, probably take a bit longer. But I think he has some suggestions, and we have a hack session like tomorrow we can talk about this as well.
Okay. Yeah. So if it's not possible, I think one of the ideas we had was having because he can do it over the dots, right? That's what I understood. So if we have at the dot where the step begins, like a little question mark, like in black, and then the dot is yellow, and then they hover over it or they click on it, and then it pulls up that screen instead.
Yeah, I think that's a good solution, but I'm really not that sure because like he's handling more the front end and haven't discussed like this specific thing. But I think we can like tomorrow come up with some solution that's possible, and then can align. I think because like without him here, I cannot like give the last word about it.
Okay, good. Well, then I'll wait to hear from either of you. Anyway, this is just the little thing that I added here. So you can see this is like when the user first arrives. You guys can see my screen, right? User first arrives, the first time they ever land on this ABC tool, right? So it gives them a little thing, and then they click next, and then they should see this here. So it says fill out your parameters, choose your market scenario, pick your reserve balance, make a buy or sell under ABC. That's it.
Okay. Thanks, Mitch. So I just, that's great. So we kind of want to have like a quick tour of the UI and also like tell the user where to go first and what to do next. So I think like in the front end, I'm not sure, Fabio is on the call? No, Fabio is not on the call, right? No. But like Vitor, maybe I can tell you, and Nagan as well. So I think that there are some libraries or frameworks we can use for doing like these UI tours. I think I saw that somewhere. I'm not sure. You guys may be more familiar with that, where you kind of like when you land on a new product, you basically get a quick tour of like how to navigate through the UI and what to do next. So like I don't think we need to custom design that. I think you guys can implement this out of the box from somewhere. And so the idea here, I guess, Mitch as well, was yours to kind of, bring an overlay of like of the whole UI and maybe just highlight the area that you're talking about currently, and then have user to click like next to get them familiar with the UI. I'm sure you've seen that many times on onboarding to new products, whatever, when you sign up and then like, they give you a quick tour. You can skip that always. So do you, Vitor, do you know what I'm talking about, or Nugget?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I don't know the library you're talking about, like how it's called or something, but yeah, I've seen stuff like that, and I think it's probably possible to find something which is already working out of the box.
Yeah, and also
I think Fabio did something that wasn't the same thing, but usually like to do that kind of Instagram thing in the Common Simulator. And I think we can do like, I think you can add libraries like that. Probably what you can do is maybe like talk to them tomorrow and see like if they can estimate like how long it would take to implement that.
Yeah,
like if it's not
I
like
think,
that long.
Yeah, I think it's a pure front end thing where you just like slap that like on top of everything, and it shouldn't kind of interfere with whatever we like have that on the screen. So basically, it just gives you a tour. Anyway, like ask Fabio, please, and then like he may know better. But the idea with this kind of tour is just to give them a quick overview of the UI with these four things that Mitch just highlighted here. Ideally, it should kind of like dim out the whole UI and just highlight that area with an option to like click next or skip the tour or something like that. So yeah, I just wanted to add that comment.
Cool. And while we're looking at the bonding curve, you guys can see I just added an extra button there following up the thing on Sunday. It says launch. That's going to be like the hatch funds raised adjusted by the commons tribute to get the actual reserve balance. And the second thing I wanted to talk about was Marco brought up on our hack session, how are we going to allow the user to zoom in if in the case they have like small steps and then big steps? Like if they buy 60 TEC and then they buy 6,000 TEC, like, what's that going to look like on the curve? So I don't know what the solutions are, but it's very likely to happen.
I was actually referring to the link that Vitor deployed where he tested the bonding curve, where we actually have this in the UI where you can zoom in and zoom out and stuff like that. So I was thinking, like, I'm not sure if we're going to have this here because it might be useful actually when there are many, steps close next to each other. But I assume like instead of putting that on the screen, maybe, or I don't know, maybe we're going to have like a small, zoom plus minus icons if you guys need that. Or we can just like when user hovers over a certain area, it turns into like zoom plus icon or whatever. You can zoom in there. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, we just talked about it and something to think about if we're going to have that.
Yeah, I did this zoom in part. I was thinking when I made it more like a little button where you can just click and it zooms in. What it does, it takes the first step and the last step on the sides and draws the line just a bit before and a bit after. So to kind of just zooms in. It's not thought to highlight like like two steps, or it's just to take the whole and take the maximum and the minimum and show a bit on both sides. It can be changed if we want to go that way, but just to explain how I thought of it.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying you would like to have like two buttons on the chart somewhere at the top or somewhere to zoom in and out?
Yes, or just a toggle if we want to. If no, we can just say send a 0 and it doesn't do anything. It just shows the curve. But I implemented it for the case that there were small steps which just can't be seen from far away.
Okay.
I think yes, a plus or a minus would be good, but I'm open to suggestions.
Yeah. Well, referring to the current deployed version from Vitor, where I saw them at the top, the plus minus buttons. You guys can just go ahead, like thumbs up from me to put them up there, and then like let's test it out and see how it works. If you already got it, so yeah.
Okay, we can do that tomorrow then.
Cool.
Mitch, you had you also mentioned that there was some syncs that you wanted to do between like consensus on design and development.
Yeah, I made a bunch of issues on the GitHub. So some of it's just like adding buttons, like I confirmed some stuff from Marco and making sure that the developers see it. And I think the best way at this point is going to be GitHub issues, if I'm wrong. Maybe Vitor or Nuggin can back that up.
No, yeah. I think like you mean about the intro learning section or the other ones?
Like anything, like if there's any discrepancies between the design and like the latest deployment, I'm just going to make a GitHub issue for it. I think that's the best way.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think it makes sense. Like, I think it's awesome that you make it and help a lot. Like the Fabio and Pedro, I think they're aware that there are a few things that are different, but I think they're focusing right now into integrating the backend of the front end for all the modules. So like after like this and next week we'll have the four modules plus the issue generator like integrated, and then I think like they will focus in creating in passing through all those issues and fixing it. So probably they will not focus on this right now because I think having this working integration from the backend working and enable people to do the full cycle of changing other parameters and then generating the issues the most important part. But then after that, they will have one or two issues to just do that, and it would be awesome to have a list of all the issues there.
Yeah.
So if if they do not touch on this right now, don't worry. Can keep adding this up because then they'll just do it one or two times and it'll be more efficient.
Okay, but yeah, I imagine for you guys that'll be more effective than tagging you in the Figma. I think it's easier to keep track of if I just make issues for it.
Yeah, they probably will not directly look at it all the time, and if you just create issues, it's probably easier to
issues with screenshots and everything.
Yeah,
so,
that's the best way because then they can create pull requests and close the issues automatically, and then you can see anyway, it's better.
Perfect.
Cool. There was also an issue that was brought up in the Sunday sprint call that the questions over the chart seem to be challenging for and confusing. Mitch, you were talking about putting them over having some solution. I don't know if you and Marco have synced on that.
Yeah, because the questions, we kind of hit the same spot where the questions don't correspond to what's happening on the graph. And so I heard Michael say just having the design, it doesn't work to put that header somewhere over there to the left. There's just not enough space or whatever. So it's we should just replace that text entirely with something that's more generalized. Here's your chart, basically,
Yeah, or even just make the chart bigger. Does it need a header?
Right, but then, taking that information that was displayed there and just putting it into hover tooltips. Or
we already have we already have hover tooltips, so I think that's when we added so many things there, so many hovers, so many explanations, everything. I just don't want to overdo it. So, we have a lot of tooltips that help. If we want to remove the title, the question, it's to me, it's not standing in a way, and it can only push the chart a little bit higher and not make it bigger. So, so I don't see any value of actually removing that unless it causes a lot of confusion to a user, which I haven't heard that was the case. So
Go ahead, Griff.
There was some, sometimes it confuses what the graph is when the question's right above it. People look at that, and so like for instance, the very first thing they see when they go to the token thaw page is this question that's hey, what's the opening price? Sorry for the background noise.
No, it's fine.
But it's hey, what should the opening price be or something like that? and then it's like, here's this price graph that where it just goes down, and it makes people think, oh, this is a price graph, and number go down, so and I think there's also like, you look at the questions in DAO voting, and it's like, what is the support required? And it's like, there's no support required on the graph, and it just creates a little bit of confusion.
Yeah. Okay. I heard those comments and feedback from some users. I'm not sure what the sample was of those who said like that was confusing and the ones who found it not confusing. So like, I cannot make a judgment at this point. Was that the majority? Was that like 80% of people found it confusing or not? Or just 10% out of 90%, out of 100? So it's really hard to make a decision here. Should we remove it or not? But you have a point there. Like if it does not correspond to, or if it just makes an impression that is something on the graph, which it isn't, then that's bad, right? But I was hoping like when people will click on the inputs, they will see the change of the question, and knowing that actually this is question referred to this input or for this parameter. Anyway, let's try it out a few more times. I mean, let's give it to people and see how they respond to that. And if if a lot of them say like this is confusing, the easiest thing we can do is just remove the question, right, and push the chart above. So like that's super easy. So yeah. And yeah, we already have a lot of stuff in the tooltips anyway. So,
Now, Manu, do you have any feedback on these questions? Has anyone ever said anything about it?
No, there hasn't been much traffic. I've been onboarding people, but I just want to onboard them and then just ask them for something. So the people that I onboarded last week, I'm gonna ask this week. So there'll be a lot of new feedback coming this week. And hearing what everyone's saying, I was thinking, why don't we, instead of just adding more resources there on the page, I guess what's left would be like just a simple screen recorded explainer video of someone going through not even the Figma prototype, but the actual website. Figma prototype, I mean, it's very close, but it's not the actual thing. So that could be something that I could do. It's just very simple, not much. You don't need a lot of production for this. Just screen recorded, going through, explaining some things. And I mean, just people, sometimes they're lazy, and just doing explainer video and sharing with them, maybe that could really improve on the understanding.
That's a good idea as well. We did a lot of onboarding. I mean, we did a lot of effort to actually onboard people properly and try to kind of teach them what is coming ahead, like in this in the parameter setting. So, and we talk about the bounding curve, and there's a lot of information available. And I agree with you. Like adding more stuff to this prototype, or to the whole thing in general. I think we should avoid that. It has a lot of stuff already in there. So, and our goal is to simplify it. But hey, you can't simplify these things. You have to add a lot of helpers and all this stuff. So, yeah, like 30 seconds video or something, like 45, like that would be okay. Like to put on before they start doing that. But hey, let's see first with the tour that Mitch did, with the onboarding tour, and with all our helpers and everything that we prepared during the onboarding. And if that doesn't work, well, we can then record a 45-second video or something. What do you think?
Yeah, short and sweet, just to the point, and just going over the main questions and the feedback that I got that just gets repeated, and just tackling that. And I think with everything that we have already there, it ought to be enough.
Yeah. Okay. And one thing to mention to everybody here before we move on regarding the Figma prototype. So like we're at the stage where of the prototype maturity where it's pretty much we kind of reach the limits of what we can do in Figma as a prototyping tool, right? So like if you say or want to see like what happens when a user clicks that and happens, this changes over here. What we have to do is basically copy like a bunch of screens and to make a bunch of variations of those screens and make a lot of connections, which has already a lot of connections, and that to do in the front end is maybe a line of code, right? And so like the prototype is mature enough to be tested and perceived as something like that will be live eventually, but we can't it's really hard and time consuming to prototype all kind of interactions. So I would say we're kind of like 99% done unless some minor revisions, but we should avoid any other like major prototypings just to see how something will work. It's easier to see how something will work in like coded in the front end, right? Just wanted to mention that. Okay.
Oh, and just sorry to interrupt, but I completely agree with you, Marco. And I think like depending on the timeline, I think it probably makes sense to like next 2 weeks with like this, and next week we'll probably finish the module functionalities, and then probably after that, like the front end guys can just focus on like adding these functionalities, like the extra things that we might think to do, and probably it's faster than doing it by design. And yeah, since we're talking about it, it's like I'm not sure about the timeline, like because I think the development is pretty like set up. Like you have like this week for the ABC, next week for the issue generation. But then I think it would be nice to think about like how long are we gonna have user testing, and then how long are we having the actual voting? Because I think probably it's gonna be more effective if we like after doing these 2 modules, we take a time to implement and test out with the front end guys these things, and then do user testing as well, because I think that probably would be like better than like creating a video or like we finish the ABC and the issue generation. Not sure. Like after we have the functionalities, we can probably do more changes, but I'm not sure like how long. When do we expect to have it ready for like people voting?
I would expect that it's more. I mean, I don't think we'll be doing param parties the second you deploy it and say it's done. But I do think that we would want to like internally test it, and kick it out when it's ready as soon as possible. Just we did a lot of user testing up front and user acceptance testing up front. So hopefully that is good enough, but we won't really know until we get the people in our community doing it. So maybe, I imagine that the real way to test it is to get people to use it. So I would also say that I really hope that we can just stop adding features. If there's something wrong, we just start taking it away, because we're at the point where we can make all the assumptions we want, but it's like for instance, Pedro was like, oh yeah, I tried to do this and it took me 2 hours and I didn't get there. Well, it's like, okay, well, I'm glad you stopped, and we can leave that feature out. We can leave that feature out completely, and see if it's even needed later to add in after people are starting to use this to design. In the end, what we really need to do is design economies, not just like play building the app. So, if there's problems with something that's there, I hope that we can default to just deleting it or removing it.
I totally agree. I think that's why we are like having weekly, try to make it like to cut it like weekly module deliveries, because then like we're not fall off the table and keep trying to add things that like one small change like increases the time exponentially. So we're like focusing to do the minimum possible. So then you can create the things, and then like after like the next week, we can like see what worth to add on this regard or not. So I think that we're good on that side.
Just to add to that, Griff, then like because there was some stuff we talked about on Sunday about the token thaw graph and how it goes down. So then, given that comment, are we just going to leave it as is, or are we going to try to change it at this point?
If it's, I mean, I would definitely. We have gotten a lot of feedback about that one topic, and it is pretty big. Like, you know, people feel uncomfortable looking at that. So, if I think that there was a very simple solution, wasn't it? It was like
just flipping it.
Yeah.
You mean because even if you change the time, the space between them are the same?
No, it's because basically you have a price on the y-axis, and people just look at it and it goes to 0.
Okay.
You know, so the solution could be is just flipping it 180 and having just like talking about the lockup. So 0% to like 100% thawed, and so
you can say like release token release.
The line,
yeah,
the line goes up,
Yeah,
and then you could have percentage. like a grayed out one in the back that could be price floor that is in the background. But then you have 2 different values on the y-axis, which makes it, I don't know if that's a great solution either.
Yeah, but I think that if you did that, like you lose the initial price. Because if you invert that way, you're basically talking about like the release, and then you lose the opening price.
You're losing the element of opening price in there. Yeah. So that's the other problem,
Yeah, but I think that there might be a way to change it. Like we can think about it. Like, not sure if we can come up with something right now that.
Yeah, but I think worst case initial price is a pretty obvious parameter which everybody knows and gets, and so if it doesn't show up on the graph, people will still care about it. So maybe worst case, it's not that much of a problem.
It would still show up on the table below, which is where it can go to 0 and it's okay because it's very clearly price floor. No one's gonna think of it as like a time. I mean, it has the same axis as the chart that everyone looks at every day when they open CoinGecko. I mean, we just have to accept that, time versus price. So, yeah, I mean, I think just switching that really quickly to a vesting schedule, would that be a lot of work, Vitor, or is that pretty easy?
No, that's pretty simple actually. Like if you just similar to the Dapno chart that you have in the docs, right? That just show the like percentage of the tokens that get released over time. Just that, right? No, that's pretty simple. I can add that. I think it's more front end thing, but like front end part. But I gotta change something in the back end as well. But I can do this. Don't worry. And then like we just keep the table at like just to understand, like we keep the table as it is, and we just change the chart. So like, we just change the chart, and then we just like say we get like it starts at 0% of token release, and then it goes up, and then gets 100%, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to hear Marco's thoughts on that, and whether or not it's worth it, or if we just leave it and just accept it.
I was distracted right now with give it stuff. Sorry. Can you repeat what was what?
So in the token thought page, people keep getting confused or feel uncomfortable. I think a lot of it is the question at the top, honestly. But people feel uncomfortable when they see price starts at 2, goes down to 0, and they start thinking, oh, that's when the price goes to 0. That's like their first instinct. And So the option is like, I don't know, some sort of like very blunt, this is a price floor, you know, and or like an explainer, like a pop-up, I don't know, or you know, maybe just removing the question is a solution, or maybe we change the chart to be a vesting chart, and it's kind of a boring chart on it, though. Or we have two, or we have both lines there, and we just gray out the price floor so people still see this upward line that's a little more prominent. Which I think honestly, Mitch, is probably the best idea, but at the same time that adds a little more complication. Or we do nothing and we let it be. I don't know. What do you think, Marco?
Yeah, one of the suggestions was to add another like dimmed out line that shows the actual price, right?
Well, we can't show the actual price, but we can show, what we can highlight is like the lockup and the freeze and thaw, just from like percentage of tokens on the y-axis, and maybe move like, we could move the price axis to the right and have it be like this other right axis, and have it kind of gray, and have a gray line be the current line, make the current line kind of gray, or like fade it out so it's not so prominent. Right, Mitch? Does that sound about right?
Yeah. So you'd have basically the price floor chart as it is there, that would be grayed out. And then you have the token release one, which would be basically almost like a mirrored copy of it going the other direction. And then so on the y-axis here on the left, you would have the token thaw percentage. So, you know, it'd start at 0 and go to 100. And then the other side, you would have the price floor of the token, which would start at wherever and then eventually go to 0.
Yeah, I don't know. Like just hearing that and trying to kind of imagine it on the chart just confused me again a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, maybe we can try to mock it up and then see how that actually looks like and if it's possible.
Let me try it right now. Let's see. I've got a pretty good idea.
I really think
Go
in
ahead,
this
Lauren.
case, just removing the question is going to like really solve this problem a lot. And
Yeah.
like the main thing that confuses people. Because like when graphs look like graphs, people don't automatically always assume that it's like, oh, the price goes down. But like when the question is there, then people are like, oh, the price is going to 0. So I think like if we just remove the question and we were like, this is the minimum possible price the token could reach or something, or we just took it out.
Yeah.
We could remove the word. Oh, sorry, Marco. Go ahead.
No, just you know, what do you want to remove?
I was gonna say we could also not call it a price floor, just floor, and just remove the word price.
Well, it's we do use it everywhere, so I wouldn't just call it floor here and then price floor other parts. But the thing here is that we're now looking actually at the chart where all 3 parameters are filled in. I think like when the user first comes there will be nothing, right? No line, nothing. And the question is, like the chart is empty, right? And then the question is, what is the opening price?
I don't like that assumption, because I think the more common, for especially users that aren't really feel comfortable with this, it will start pre-filled.
Yeah. From forking and from yeah. Got it. Yeah, let me see what Mitch did there. Where's your playground? Oh, there below.
I mean, I really do like the idea of just removing the question and then seeing if it's still a problem. That's the lowest through.
Well, let's remove the question on module 1 and like see how that works. And then like if that's fine, like we can then remove on all others.
Love it. That's great A/B testing. Does that sound easy, Vitor?
Sorry, you mean like creating another slide? Like how did you do this? Like
just remove the question above the graph where on the first module. So like on the first module, we have the side panel with parameters, we have the question, and then we have the graph. So just remove the question on module 1, but keep the questions on module 2, 3, and 4. So we can like see if people are confused with the question on other modules, and yeah. And I'm gonna hide them from module 1 in the prototype as well right now.
Okay. I'll ask the advisor to do that. It's simple.
Fantastic. Let's see. Update. So I have one more comment. Oh yeah, I guess it's from Vitor. Updates on params work. Oh.
Okay. Yeah, regarding the dev work, we're gonna have our call tomorrow. Sorry, not online, but I'm with Fabio, Pedro, and Nagan. So we're gonna align what needs to be done, the ABC, and what we need to change in the backend to integrate fine with the front end. So probably do some changes, and then we'll have ideally for Sunday the ABC working. So then probably like a few UX things will not be like perfect, as you said. That probably there are a few things that are limited by the library, but like the whole like changing and selecting parameters will be working as for the other ones. And regarding I started doing the looking for the bot for creating the issues for the next week as well. So I talked to Zap about it, and I'm just going to create the new GitHub account and etc. email for then we can start doing this as well, because then we can just start to create our issues and test on that, which is going to be your next step. And yeah, after like these ABC and then the creating the issues, I think like would be great for user testing, because even if the user interface is not perfect, like people will start to like create their issue, their select their parameters and generate their issues, and then I think like the whole thing will be more clear to people in general. And yeah, I think that's it. So next this week ABC, next week the issues, and then we're good. We have like the whole thing functional, and then we can just try to select where we want to focus to improve, like either in the design things or one specific module. And yeah, that's it from my side.
Awesome. So on Thursday, I assume that ABC won't be done by Thursday, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think so. Like, I think we need a little bit more time to integrate things. But I think we can like show up at least something there. I think Pedro is like working a lot in the ABC, so even if it's not like fully integrated, I think we can show up like, even if we just had like a specific, like we have a specific scenario only, and then the backend is not integrated fully, but at least can show up something.
Cool. Yeah, and I think getting the conviction voting module to a more serviceable spot too would be definitely valuable for the demo.
Sorry, what did you say?
The conviction voting demo last time, I feel like it was like there was still some features missing, so showing that off too.
Yeah, the radio buttons, right? For the day, yeah, I implemented. I talked to Pedro about that. I was implementing this today, and for Thursday it will be implemented as well, because they're like it was considering the as if your conviction were full, but not, you could not choose the days. And I know what you're talking about. Yeah, for Thursday it will be implemented as well.
Super cool. I know everyone at Giveth. I'm really excited to start playing with it just for parameterizing Giveth, you know, and starting to play around. So I think it'll be. I think Gardens. I think everyone's really excited about being able to play with the conviction voting page. So that'll be super cool. Any other questions? Any other questions for Vitor while we have him on the development side? No, everyone's like, dude, we talk to Vitor all the time. DM, DM, DM. So that's cool. Actually, this was something that Fabio brought up in one of our chats, was that maybe we should do a little bit more coordination in the parameters channel in Discord, if we can remember to, because we're doing so many DMs, but it'd be really nice if the DM was just, hey, go check the params channel in Discord, and so people could see all the action that you're doing in more in the instead of behind the scenes, but actually in Discord. I just remembered that right now, but I need to do the same. So does that sound appealing to anybody, to people?
I think so. Like, you mean even saying like what you're working in each week and things like that as well?
I don't mean to formalize it at all. It's really just having the chatter happen more in public so people can see that magic is happening, and maybe even feel like, I don't know, feel like they might learn something from the side. I don't think we have to do like daily stand-ups or anything like that. Just like a lot of these DMs and decisions that are being made, and like challenges that people are having, if we all get to read them, it might be beneficial. Or at least we can try it, and then if it's more static than it's worth, then scrap it. Okay, cool. So then we have I know, Manu, I know you said that there wasn't a whole lot of action, but maybe since we have you here, just from like the last month of user testing, what would you say the biggest confusion points were, or challenges that people were having in using the module?
I think the ones that I'm pushing out right now, as instructed by Marco, I think those are the ones: the augmented bonding curve, the conviction voting, and those two mostly. Mark also added the summary, so for me to push the ABC, the conviction voting, and the summary, and those would be in terms of slides, it's 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 26, 27, 29, because it keeps going back and forth. So I mean, I think we're walking a tightrope between displaying too much information and actually incentivizing people to do their own research. And it's just a design choice at this point. I mean, it's token engineering. It is engineering. It requires some level of expertise. So I think, yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think the main point was that we didn't have to do param parties every other day, which was really time consuming for Griff and some other people. I know Griff likes to party, but you know, it was like it had to be every single person had to be like walked through, and that was just like the hatch one, which was honestly super easy compared to this. So if we can eliminate that overhead, because I'm slowly learning, no matter how many times you tell people to read, they still won't do it.
Yeah,
so
maybe. No, maybe one thing that we can do, like we can do a more fancy walkthrough, like video walkthrough, once it's like ready. And like I could do this as well, like record, I have a mic here, I can do that. But like maybe do just a little bit of scripting just to get sure that like it is like simple and not that long video, but then people can then you can just like find this video, and then probably like will be less time consuming than param calls or parts.
yeah, definitely a lot of similar ideas of just like having a video walking through each one, or a voice recording, or whatever it is. But I mean,
might be
let's see what
interesting
user
even like a
testing.
video for that might be a bit interesting, like one for each module maybe. Right.
Cool. Well, then that's I think that's our show. I mean I love this conversation, but at the same time it's always nice to end early. So we can continue. Hopefully we can continue this conversation in the Discord and chat it up there and hang out. Thank you, Ashley, Mount Manu, and Zeptimus for dropping in. Always great, and of course the rest of the team that's always here. But really appreciated that.